Shade progression, we do play both, 3 down, 4 down, front, pretty multiple. My thought process in it, I was telling Coach before, I came up in a 3 down front. So that's what I learned initially. Then as I went to different places, we were playing 3 down, but we were also playing 4 down. So I try to find the best way to be able to play both, because obviously it's a lot different, there's different alignments, a lot different technique as well. So how can we translate it to make it as similar as possible to be able to play 3 down and a 4 down front. So we'll start sled, head up progression. So we go quick hands, 6-point explosion, 2-point explosion, 3-point, an extension, and then some lockout, and then get into a full rep. But really try and have a progression with it, crawl, walk, run progression. So that's why we go 6-point to 2-point to 3-point, and so on and so forth. So the quick hands initially, it's really just about getting our hands out. We're not moving our upper body here. We're just trying to take our hands from the ground to the man as quick as possible. As far as the drill setup as we go, each time we go, you're going to see essentially a guy right next to the bag. He's the movement indicator. So I try to go on sound as little as possible to train their eyes as well as their hands, their body parts of going out and moving. So the next guy generally I would do would go from defense to offense, and then they're just rotating around. But here on movement, so if we're holding a bag, it's just slight movement of the bag, but it's 1, 2, 3, ground of the man, 1 reset, 1, 2, 3, ground of the man. Not moving our body, hands from the ground to the man as quick as possible. The sled, you kind of see, turned it upside down. You won't always see it like this. We talk about leverage, right? Horizontal and vertical leverage. Everybody talks about leverage and just being lower than somebody else. I also think there's horizontal leverage. We want our hands inside theirs. So that's why we have the bag set up the way we do. They were initially, when I got there, we talked about 5 fingers up. I don't really like that, because what I've seen from it is when they go 5 fingers up, they're real wide with it, where now we're thumbs up, a little tighter, and we have that horizontal leverage. So 6-point, and then we go into our quick hands. We go to our 6-point, so it'll be 2 reps, still be head up the whole time. We're going to strike, and then peek to their left, reset, strike, and peek to their right. So we're curling our toes, we're trying to push off the balls of our feet, feel like that's where we get our power. Right, and then on the peak, it's just putting our chin to our shoulder. We're not moving our whole body. We don't want to move our base, but we don't really want to move our upper body much either. So we're just trying to move as little as possible, taking our chin to our shoulder wherever we peak. Thing that when we do this, particularly like in camps and stuff, guys will be in a hurry to peak, right? Tell them defeat the man, then find the ball carrier. So when do we defeat the man? When we're fully extended in our arms, then we can peak. But try and explain to them, try and show them on film. Right? By the time we're striking, we're extended. The ball carrier, the running back still hasn't even gotten the ball. So just try and emphasize that to show them you have time, slow down, be patient.
Can you define that again, sir?
Defeat the man, then find the ball carrier. Yeah, our arms are fully extended, locked out. Mm-hmm. That's when we can then peak to find the ball carrier.
Yes, sir. And when you're saying fully extended, you still got a slight bend in your arm, or it's all the way
No,
out?
we're trying to get the full thing.
No doubt.
All right, so patience with our eyes, chin to our shoulder on the peak. All right, so this one is a little different. Probably don't see it as much when we go 2-point. We're essentially trying to resemble our 3-point stance. All we're doing is picking our hands up off the ground. Being that we're head up or an inside shade, we do play with a more square stance. I just feel like personally, it's easier to get cut out of your gap as an inside shade. So for that reason, we're going to be square. We're also going to in-flight adjust, which we'll talk about here as we go. But we're square with our feet. So we're in our 3-point stance. I'll put them in their 3-point stance, pick our hands up off the ground. What I feel like this does is it helps us, we talk about hat and hands, feet to follow. It helps us to throw our hands, it helps us to get our upper body going first, and then our feet will come behind late. But by doing that, it gives us a good natural forward lean, good paddle.
Can you please repeat that again? Hat, hands, feet follow, correct?
Yep, yes sir. So this is a pretty good example of it here. Hands are just slightly off the ground. Hat and hands coming first. And there's our forward lean. Really not moving much with our feet. I don't want to go down, tell too many stories and go down rabbit holes, but being in the odd world and kind of watching other teams, other films, I watched, it was after the 2021 season, I think it was, the Rams, they won the Super Bowl, and like their feet was crazy, like never moving their feet always on the ground, no wasted movement. And I got in touch with a guy who was coaching with the Rams. He was their assistant D-line coach, for them I knew him. And I was like, how do you guys teach that? And like your feet are so good. He was like, we really don't even talk about feet. And I was like, shit, like, I don't know that I can do that, right? Like maybe in the league, like you can get away with that. But so with that, I try not to really emphasize the feet too much, but I do talk about quiet lower body. Not trying to step, elongating all that. Quiet lower body, hat and hands coming first, and then the feet to follow. So it's the same thing. We'll go strike, peek to our left, reset, strike, peek to our right from the 2-point. Still the extension in our arms, chin to our shoulder on the peak. As far as, again, drill setup, all right, whatever you have works, okay? So our sled broke during the season. So we had a couple of heavy bags that we used in place of a sled, which somebody was standing behind them to support them so they didn't move. But kind of that would be like Tuesdays we do the heavy bag, Wednesdays we do a hand shield, and then Thursdays we do it versus person. And I actually kind of liked it because you don't get as many reps versus person, but the hand placement of the shoulder pads versus striking sled, it did show up where we was trying to strike shoulder pads and now their hands are all over the place. So I did help like it felt like for the accuracy of our strikes. So now we progress to 3-point, and as you can see, like this guy, I think he was starting at 2-point. You might see guys on different pages. We just do 4 lines. As long as the sled ain't moving, they're doing their 2 reps of each, and then they're on to the next drill. Initially, when I got there, like we didn't have the tires on the sled, so it was moving, we had to go at the same time. Really just slowed it down. So as they kind of know the order, they know what to do. I'm somewhere, whether behind or in front, watching them as they go. All right, so 3-point here. Now it's not bad. The only thing that I'm trying to work on and kind of emphasize more now, we don't want our feet to land right where we started. Okay, if we're finishing the same place we started, there's no ability to create knockback. All you're doing is picking your weight up and putting it back down. So I'm really trying to get him to push off the balls of our feet and gain ground with our feet. So like this guy in the middle here, it's a pretty good look at it. You see him gaining ground. But if we're just, like I said, if we're just finishing where we started, we're not going to knock it back when there's a person there.
What's that first step right there?
Yeah, so we do a 2-foot push.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so we're pushing off the balls of both of our feet. I feel like that helps eliminate some of the false steps and some of the base where you have an issue. But all of that, like with the 2-point as well, we're here and we're trying to push off both feet, and then our feet will come behind. So there might be a small step, somebody coming here and here. We're always trying to get back to base, right? Talk about our power position, athletic stance. Really what you do, anything athletically, whether you're lifting, hitting a baseball, golf ball, this is your power position, this is your athletic position. So we're always trying to maintain that base.
So after you do that 2-foot push, then what's the next step in that?
Then the feet will follow, and it's really just trying to get your feet in the ground and maintain that base.
Does it matter what side of the line of scrimmage you're playing on?
We're trying to knock it back.
Just knock back.
Yeah. With it in flight adjust to ensure that we're still, if this is the 4-eye, to ensure we're still in our peak gap.
Correct.
Yeah.
So if I was the right 4-eye, my left foot would move first after my double foot, or no? Or are you just?
I honestly, I don't even really get into that with it. Yes, sir. As long as the feet are coming behind, it should be small steps, both feet coming. Which one is first? I couldn't even tell you. All right, so same movements here. It's just kind of changing our initial alignment. All right, so we should get our extension here, but strike peak left, strike peak right. So now I kind of went to this. Haven't done this as much recently, but because initially, right, the sled is locked, so there's no, there's the initial strike, and then there's nothing else to it. So we're trying to add the next element, all right, of getting our lockout, bringing our feet, and getting our extension. So if I had to redo it, I probably wouldn't put their face in there. I just don't think that's super realistic, but it is, the arms should be bent a little bit. I don't think we want our arms fully bent, right? We're not trying to bench press a guy who's 300 pounds. We're not trying to be in here with them and lock them out. You should strike with your arms bent, in my opinion, but then try to get to lockout as opposed to fully bent in here. Like I said, now it's just a true bench press. So probably going forward, I'll take the face out of there and just have a slight bend in the arms so that we're striking here and then get into that extension. But it's just trying to add the next element. Like I said, those were the initial strike. Right now we're locking out, now we're running our feet. So we got a good base. Hopefully this is essentially how we're ending up once we're striking flat back, arms bent, and then we'll lock out, and then we'll peak, still bringing our chin to our shoulder when we peak. Same thing here. All right, we shouldn't move our hands here though, all right? Keep our hands there, stay square.
So,
yep.
With 3-point and 4-point stance, a 3-man front and a 4-man front. Are your steps different? Are you teaching different steps in that?
No, so to have similar carryover, I still teach the 2-foot push when we're shaded in the 4 down front.
Okay, even when they're slanting?
If we're slanting, no, now we'll be gaining ground with that step. So the stance should look the same, but we'll be flat step vertical on the second, which we'll get to. All right, so there's the lockout, and then we're trying to put it all together. So now it's 2-point lockout. Same thing, strike, peak. All right, feet are running. Still flat back on contact, right? And then naturally, and just probably going off a little bit here. Sometimes when we do like lockout stuff, guys just want to go straight up here, right? Everybody talks about your hands above your eyes and all that and everything. I agree with it, but I think that happens naturally. Right? When you knock it back and you lock out, you're going to be here initially, but then as you lock out and you start to rise up, then your hands will finish up above your head. So we still want to flat back on contact. Then as, like I said, we'll lock them out, we'll start to rise up. You're not going to be able to throw off from here, so you're just naturally going to rise up as your feet come, and then we'll disengage, we'll throw from there. All right, so the 2-point is always the toughest one for them to get used to. This was spring 1, so you can see the wasted movement here. All right, part of that is our pad level and our weight. We want our feet behind us a little, we want our weight forward, and then just those hands coming first, as opposed to our feet going backwards. So you can see him going backwards, right? We don't want any wasted movement. It's improved as we went, but that 2-point is probably the hardest one for that reason. So now we're just putting it all together, 3-point lockout. All right, so because of the space, and now we're throwing on the finish, just kind of went to 2 guys as opposed to all 4 people running into each other and shit. But they will switch lines to get a rep both ways. So the first one, it'll just be, it'll be movement. I'll make sure these guys are going at the same time. So like I said, the sled will be moving and stuff. All right, so we're going at the same time. These indicators, they'll be looking at me, or they'll look at each other, I guess is what they were doing here. They ensure they're going at the same time, taking the hand off. All right, so both guys are striking at the same time. So on the first one, it's just strike, peak. All right, make sure their feet are going. All right, and then on the second one, we disengage and finish with the arm over. No wasted movement, those hands, all right? Hands from the ground to the man. All right, so like I said, now the sled is the other way. All right, so they're striking with their hands up above. All right, naturally it's gonna be 5 fingers up, so that's why we flip the sled upside down, get our thumbs up, get our hands inside.